Oh, you gorgeous little arsonist. You just set something on fire, and you don't even smell the smoke yet, do you? Whatever you just did, and we both know what I'm talking about, don't play coy with me. That thing, that beautiful, reckless, absolutely unhinged thing you did, it just blew a hole in the side of somebody's very carefully constructed reality. And now there's rubble everywhere. And they're standing in the dust going, What? What just happened? I'll tell you what happened. Sweet catastrophe. You showed up. Not the rehearsed version, not the committee-approved, board-certified, shrink-wrapped edition that everyone's been trained to tolerate. No, no, no. The real one. The raw one. The one that makes people forget what they were saying mid-syllable. And now they're out here looking absolutely shook, trying to act like everything's fine, while their entire understanding of you is doing a full system reboot in real time. See, here's the thing about what you just pulled off, and I need you to lean in for this because the punchline is exquisite. They had you mapped, charted, pinned to a corkboard like a butterfly under glass. Oh yes, we understand this one. Predictable, manageable, filed under, no threat. And you went and kicked the whole corkboard off the wall. Now there are pins and paper and little red strings everywhere, and they're on their hands and knees trying to piece together a profile that no longer exists. Beautiful. Truly. Chef's kiss chaos. Let me paint what they're actually seeing right now. Because this part is delicious. Picture a city. Gray, orderly, everyone marching in neat little rows, wearing neat little faces, saying neat little things. And then, boom, here you come. A graffiti mural blooming across the side of a condemned building, not asking permission, not fitting the aesthetic, just blazing there loud and alive, and completely, magnificently unauthorized. And now every gray little marcher is stopping to stare, and they're furious because it's gorgeous, and they can't look away. And nobody approved this. Nobody signed off on you being this vivid. And yet. But here's what's really cooking their circuits, my little voltage spike. You're not just another bright thing in a dim room. You're a black light. When you walk in, suddenly all the invisible ink shows up. All the things people have been hiding. All the performances. All the carefully maintained facades. Your presence makes every bit of it glow fluorescent. You don't even try. You just stand there being the real thing, and suddenly everything fake in the room starts sweating. And they keep trying to label you, trying to file you. But you're the frequency their equipment wasn't built to detect. And that gap between what they can measure and what you actually are, that's where the magic lives. Precious mayhem. That's the part they can't handle. So let's get into it. Let's talk about why this keeps happening to you. Because this isn't a one-off, is it? This is not the first time you've casually detonated someone's assumptions. Not the first time you did something that felt completely ordinary to you and absolutely earth-shattering to the person watching. There's a pattern here, and it's got roots deeper than you think. You know that moment. And I know you know it because I can see it written all over you. That sliver of time right when you wake up. Before the alarms, before the notifications, before your brain boots up all its little defense protocols, just you lying there, 6:47 a.m., and for maybe 45 seconds, there's this version of yourself underneath everything. The version with no filter, no calculation, no but what will they think. That version doesn't ask permission. That version just exists at full volume, full signal, full everything. Stop the noise. I've got a secret for you. Stop reliving the humiliation and start engineering your revenge. My 73-page guide, The Evolution of the Anomaly, is locked and loaded. Grab it in the description or pinned comment of this video. Keep that link open. Let's get back to the real meat of this. And then the morning starts, and you reach for the dimmer switch. Not because you want to, but because somewhere along the line, someone taught you that running at full brightness makes people uncomfortable. That being the whole complete, undiluted thing was somehow rude. Too intense, too much. So you dial it down. You step out into the world at about 60%, and you tell yourself, that's normal, that's fine, that's how it works. And maybe it is how it works for them, but it was never how it was supposed to work for you. Here's the exquisite part, though, my little renegade. Today, that dimmer switch broke. Something snapped. Maybe you were tired, maybe you were distracted, maybe for one perfect accidental second, you forgot to manage yourself. And the full version walked into the room, no filter, no safety net, no edited for television warning before the broadcast. Just you, at 100%. And the entire room felt the frequency shift like a thunderclap with no storm attached. You didn't announce yourself, didn't build up to it, didn't do some dramatic entrance with a slow-motion walk and a soundtrack. You just existed fully in a space full of people who had forgotten what that looks like. And it hit them, not like a wave, like a power surge that fried every circuit in the building. That's not something you learn. That's not something you rehearse. You either carry that kind of current or you don't. And you, oh darling delinquent, you're basically a walking power grid that nobody knew was live. Now let me get specific, because I want you to feel this in your bones. Think about a room, any room, conference table, dinner party, audition, pickup game, family gathering, literally doesn't matter. Everyone's in there contributing. Everyone's doing their competent little thing. There's this steady hum of adequacy, right? People hitting their marks, saying their lines, being perfectly fine, serviceable, acceptable. And then there's you. And it's not that you're louder, it's not that you're trying harder. It's almost offensive how little effort you seem to be spending. It's like everyone else is running on battery power, watching the percentage tick down, conserving energy. And you're plugged in to something they don't even have a socket for. Something under the hood that doesn't show up on their diagnostics. This isn't something you bought. This isn't something you manifested with a vision board and a gratitude journal. This comes from every fire you walked through barefoot and refused to let turn you to ash. And now you move in ways they can't predict, and it's low-key at making them lose their minds. Here's where it gets strange, and this is the part nobody's got the nerve to say out loud. The thing that makes you different isn't just what you do. It's how quietly you do it. It's the fact that you're not performing, you're not calculating, you're not angling for the audience. You're just in it, fully present, completely absorbed. And that realness, that unperformed, uncurated, zero pretense quality, it cuts through every rehearsed person in the room like a hot blade through stage curtains. All these polished people with their prepared impressions of impressive. And then there's you doing impossible things with no visible effort. And it makes everything else look like a costume. A really expensive, well-tailored costume that suddenly everyone can see the seams on. Someone saw that today, someone who matters, and I want you to clock what went through their mind, because this part is rich. At first, and let's be honest here, honesty being my one consistent policy, they dismissed you. Not maliciously, just reflexively. That's what brains do. We size people up in seconds. We sort them into bins. And in your first 30 seconds in their world, you registered as fine, baseline, another face in the room. Maybe your packaging didn't scream danger or opportunity or pay attention. They made a mental note, unremarkable, moving on, and went back to whatever very important thing they were doing. And then you did that thing, and it was like a record scratch in a cathedral. You know that moment in a game when the outcome has been decided for so long that everyone's already writing the story in their heads? The comeback's impossible. The clock's run out. The narrative is sealed. And then somebody, too stubborn to read the room, too wired to quit, makes a play that defies every reasonable expectation, and for half a breath, the whole arena goes dead, silent. Not because it was bad, because it was so good that the brain needs a running start to catch up to what the eyes just witnessed, that silence before the eruption. That's what happened when you did what you did. They stopped. They looked again, and the thought that crawled through their mind, word by devastating word, was, "Wait, I miscalculated. I completely, embarrassingly miscalculated." You're the twist ending they should have seen coming but didn't, because they were too busy reading the wrong story, and honestly, they were waiting for you to crack under pressure, but instead, you leveled up right in their faces. And now, they're looking at you like you're a glitch in their operating system because you flat out refused to run their software. And here's what makes this absolutely unhinged in the best possible way. You were just being you. You weren't saving your best. You weren't deploying some strategic masterstroke. You were just there, fully there. And that fullness of presence, that's the thing they'd never encountered before. Because most people are in the room while simultaneously producing a live documentary about being in the room. Watching themselves, editing themselves, monitoring their metrics, adjusting their performance in real time. And you were just doing the thing, just being the whole signal, uncompressed, no buffering, no lag. Someone saw that today, someone who matters, and I want you to clock what went through their mind, because this part is rich. At first, and let's be honest here, honesty being my one consistent policy, they dismissed you, not maliciously, just reflexively. That's what brains do. We size people up in seconds. We sort them into bins. And in your first 30 seconds in their world, you registered as fine, baseline, another face in the room. Maybe your packaging didn't scream danger or opportunity or pay attention. They made a mental note, unremarkable, moving on, and went back to whatever very important thing they were doing. And then you did that thing, and it was like a record scratch in a cathedral. You know that moment in a game when the outcome has been decided for so long that everyone's already writing the story in their heads? The comeback's impossible. The clock's run out. The narrative is sealed. And then somebody, too stubborn to read the room, too wired to quit, makes a play that defies every reasonable expectation, and for half a breath, the whole arena goes dead, silent. Not because it was bad, because it was so good that the brain needs a running start to catch up to what the eyes just witnessed, that silence before the eruption. That's what happened when you did what you did. They stopped. They looked again, and the thought that crawled through their mind, word by devastating word, was, "Wait, I miscalculated. I completely, embarrassingly miscalculated." You're the twist ending they should have seen coming but didn't, because they were too busy reading the wrong story, And honestly, they were waiting for you to crack under pressure, but instead, you leveled up right in their faces. And now, they're looking at you like you're a glitch in their operating system because you flat out refused to run their software. And here's what makes this absolutely unhinged in the best possible way. You were just being you. You weren't saving your best. You weren't deploying some strategic masterstroke. You were just there, fully there. And that fullness of presence. That's the thing they'd never encountered before. Because most people are in the room while simultaneously producing a live documentary about being in the room. Watching themselves, editing themselves, monitoring their metrics, adjusting their performance in real time. And you were just doing the thing, just being the whole signal, uncompressed, no buffering, no lag. That's the rarest commodity on the planet. And it's not talent, not skill, not charisma. It's completeness. The absolute willingness to be the entire unapologetic, unedited thing you are. Without the defensive crouch that 99% of the population lives in permanently, hunched over their own glow, like they're afraid someone will see how bright they actually are. Now, my sweet saboteur, I want to go deeper, because there's something moving behind the curtain that you haven't clocked yet. Something already in motion that nobody sent you a memo about. That person who saw you today. They didn't just shrug and scroll past. Something activated in them, not just, oh, that person's impressive. Something deeper. Bone-level recognition. The kind where you see something real and some part of you vibrates in response like a tuning fork finding its frequency. They felt a resonance. And here's the thing about resonance. It doesn't dissipate. It lingers. It follows you around. It makes you replay the moment at 2 a.m. It makes you tell other people about it. It makes you want to orbit whatever produced that feeling. So while you were out there just being your magnificent, oblivious self, this person was already rearranging furniture in their head, already reshuffling priorities. They've encountered talent, sure. They've seen clever. They've met impressive. But they have never, not once, encountered someone who carried what you carry. And it's doing something to them. They're already thinking, I need that energy in my world. Whether that's professional, personal, creative, the category doesn't matter. What matters is they saw something they can't unsee, and now they're trying to close the distance between their life and whatever that beautiful, terrifying thing was. And the thing is, you. Let me ask you something, and I want you to sit with it. Do you know how many people drift through their entire existence never once getting that reaction from another person, never stopping a room, never making someone rebuild their entire mental model from scratch? Not because they lack talent, not because they aren't good at what they do, but because they are permanently, relentlessly running the edited version, the pre-approved, pre-tested, triple-filtered version that's been passed through 17 layers of but what will they think of me? And the result is fine, competent, safe, and completely, instantly forgettable. You are not forgettable, and you know this. Somewhere in that quiet early morning version of yourself, the one before the filters boot up, you know that what lives inside you has never been average. Not once, not ever. You've always been reading the world from a slightly tilted angle that nobody around you quite shared. You'd look at a situation and immediately see the 5 hidden floors beneath the surface that everyone else was just skating across. You'd be in a conversation and hear what people weren't saying louder than what they were. You'd walk into a room and feel the actual temperature of it before a single word was spoken. That's not normal. And I mean that as the highest possible compliment, because normal is the most boring thing I can imagine being. That's something else entirely. You're not just different. You're first edition, unrepeatable, the prototype that broke the mold so thoroughly nobody can manufacture a second one. And maybe when you were younger, that something else felt like a defect. Maybe it made you weird, or too sensitive, or too intense, or hard to read, or a lot. Maybe people looked at you and didn't know what to do with you, and their confusion felt indistinguishable from rejection. Maybe you spent years, darling, quietly learning to shrink, making yourself smaller, more palatable, more manageable, more like the thing people seemed comfortable with. And here's the part that breaks my cold, chaotic little heart. You got really good at it. You got so good at managing your own wattage that you almost forgot what running at full power felt like. You'd catch glimpses, that morning stillness, a burst of creative flow, a conversation where you accidentally said exactly what you meant and watched it land like a perfect strike. And you'd feel that surge, and then immediately, instinctively, you'd pull back. Too much, too bright, dial it down, don't spook the civilians. But what you did today, that was full wattage. That was the unmanaged, unfiltered, completely authentic you, walking into the world without the dimmer switch. And the response, the shock, the awe, the people who can't stop talking about it, the ones who are already scheming ways to get closer to you. That response is your answer to every single moment you ever spent making yourself smaller. That response is the universe tapping you on the shoulder and saying, "See? See what happens when you stop apologizing for what you are." And I know what your brain does next. Because I know that brain. It's a fun brain. Chaotic, I respect it. The next move is to try to reverse engineer it. Figure out why it worked so you can bottle it, replicate it, systematize it. Or maybe the next move is to worry, to decide it was a fluke, that you got lucky, that next time they'll see through it, that the other shoe is hovering somewhere above your head. Stop it. It wasn't a fluke. You can't replicate it on purpose because it only works when you stop trying to engineer anything and just show up as the full, uncut thing. And they're not going to see through it because there's nothing to see through. What they saw was real. It was the most real thing in the room. That's exactly why it hit the way it did, the way you handled that, whatever it was. That wasn't ego. That was something raw and unmanufactured moving through you. And you didn't just survive the moment. You alchemized it. You took scrap metal and forged a crown in real time. And they watched you do it with their jaws on the floor. Here's what's about to happen next. And listen carefully, because this is the part people miss when they're too busy being anxious about the outcome to notice the doors opening around them. Someone in your orbit. Could be someone you already know. Could be someone entirely new. Is going to come back around. They're going to find a reason to reach out, to reconnect, to show up. And it might not look like what you expect. It might come through a side entrance, through a mutual connection, through a message or a situation that looks coincidental, but is actually laser-focused on you. Because people who feel that resonance don't just forget about it. They follow it. They find ways to be in the same room as that energy again. They'll keep checking on you, expecting you to have dimmed, only to find you burning brighter than ever. And for some of you, this is going to resurrect something you thought was dead and buried, something you wanted so badly at one point that when it fell apart, you had to construct an entire emotional fortress just to survive how much it hurt. You had to talk yourself into believing you didn't want it anymore, that the rejection was the answer, and the answer was fine, and you'd moved on. But you hadn't moved on. You'd just gotten really good at not looking in that direction.